Hi, I'm Charlie Nardozzi of the National Gardening Association. Today I'd like to talk to you about raised bed gardening. Raised beds are just what they sound like, mounds of soil that made into various shapes. They offer lots of advantages in the garden. They warm up sooner and dry out faster in the spring, making it easier for you to get in the garden. They're easier to plant, weed, and fertilize, and since they're raised up, you won't be stepping on the soil, so you won't be compacting the roots. Now, raised beds are great for clay soil because clay is so hard to work, but the raised beds make them easier. But if you have sandy soil, it'll dry out really fast, so you might want to avoid using a raised bed. There are two different types of raised beds, permanent and temporary. Temporary raised beds like these are made each spring. You can make them in any different shape to fit the space that you have. Most beds tend to be rectangular or square, but you can make them round or serpentine. Now, permanent raised beds have some kind of structure around them that holds the soil together, whether it be a natural rot-resistant wood like cedar, plastic wood, stone, or brick. You'd want to avoid any kind of treated wood because that has chemicals that'll leach into the soil. But you can treat wood with linseed oil as a natural preservative to keep the wood strong for years. Regardless of whether it's a permanent or temporary raised bed, here are the steps to make one. First, you want to locate the raised bed close to the house or in the garden where you're going to pass by it regularly every day. That way you'll be sure to take good care of it. If it's in full sun with well-drained soil, that would be ideal. Today we're going to work right here. The first thing you want to do is loosen up the soil in the spring whenever it's dried out enough. By loosening up the soil, what you're doing is creating drainage spaces so that the water will drain out whenever it rains. When you finish loosening the soil, now I like to mark out the edges of my raised bed, and I use stakes to do that. Put them right in the boundaries, right at the edge, and pound them in. Put in the last stake here in the corner, and when you're done, it's good to just see if it's wide enough. You want it to be about 3 to 4 feet wide, so you can reach your hand into the center like this and work all the plants in here without having to step on the bed. Once you've sketched it all out, now it's time to build up the soil in there to about 10 to 12 inches high. Once you've created your mound, your raised bed, then you want to put a little compost on top. Compost is great to add fertility to the soil, and if you put down about an inch or so layer every year, it'll keep the garden healthy. I'm going to spread the compost right around the bed. Now I want to rake this nice and smooth to flatten out the top of the raised bed and remove any kind of big chunks of soil or rocks and debris that I might have here. Once the raised bed is finished, I like to mulch around the edge of the raised bed. Some people use newspaper, cardboard. I like straw mulch. What you want to do is put it around the pathways, and it's going to prevent weeds from growing and keep the soil nice and moist. Now the fun part, it's time to plant. I love planting hot red chili peppers in my raised beds because they really spice up all kinds of dishes and they make a great pasta sauce. The nice thing about raised beds is you can plant things closer together than normal. The reason being you can concentrate your fertilizing and watering in this small space, and you won't have to weed as much either. So raised beds are a great thing to use. You just have to remember they're raised up. So you're going to have to water them a little bit more because they'll dry out faster. For more information about raised bed gardening, visit our how-to library at www.garden.org.